Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Friday the 8th of February 2019. And that was When Lambo by Mark Battaglia. Almost played it twice for you there. All right, big day in the crypto markets today. We've got a full report on that, and we're going to take a look at the gold and silver markets as well. The title of tonight's episode is Litecoin Jets Higher in Prodigious Crypto Rally. Litecoin rose at one point over 30% today. That is 30% in basically one half of a day. Not quite sure, but we have some ideas on what's driving the rally. Other cryptocurrencies also rocketed higher, but not at the same rate as Litecoin. So let's take a look at some of our prices today in the markets. Before we do that, I just want to mention last night we discussed whether nickel was money. And we went through all the characteristics of money, and one of them was durable. And I had mentioned that nickel is a very durable, can withstand very high temperatures. And I ran across a video by the Coin Grading Association, I think it's NCG, and they had done a very interesting video. It's only got like 220 views. It deserves more. About a guy who left Paradise, California during the forest fire, and he had to leave so quickly, left behind all his valuables, and he left in a safe his slabbed and graded coin collection. And when he came back a month later, he found the safe there, and when they opened it up, a lot of the coins were in the slabs, but a lot of them have been melted, and there were the slabs did not hold up very well. So the NCG decided that they would, for free, regrade his coins, and every one of them sustained the fire. And what's interesting was it had a lot of nickels, and the nickels came out very well. They managed to retain their old grading. So I'll give you the link for that right now. It's also in the notes below this. You can check it out. It was very interesting, very timely, since we were discussing the durability, one of the things of nickel, and nickel definitely withstood the heat in the Paradise Forest Fire last year. The silver did all okay as well. He managed to get all of his coins restored very nicely. Okay, let's take a look now at the gold price today. The markets were down a little bit, but they were down much more during the day, the equity markets, and they recovered. The Dow Jones Industrial down just 63 points to 25,106. It had been down a couple hundred, almost 300 points, but it rallied back to down just 63 points. So that's just down 0.25%. NASDAQ up 9.85%, up 0.14%, and S&P 500 closed at 2707, up 1.83. That's just pretty much flat. Now, as to your gold prices, they rose, and they rose as we thought they might have as a result of 2 down days in the stock market, but it turned out not to be 2 down days in the stock market. It turned out to be yesterday was a down day, and today was a bit of a down day, and then it turned slightly positive at the close. But gold did rise $3.05, or up 0.25%. Over in your silver market, silver did a little bit better today than gold on a relative basis. Not much. It's up 9 cents, up to 15.81, up 0.58%. And that's it. It's Friday night. No more silver and gold trading until Sunday evening. We will be back tomorrow night with Saturday Night Silver with Smaulgld, and then during Sunday night's live broadcast, we will figure out what's going on with gold and silver. Gold-silver ratio, what happened? Not much. Down a little bit, down to 83.1, but essentially not much of a change there at all. All right, other gold news. Nice to see this story here. Gold back in fashion from Money Week. Gold reputation as a safe haven is also coming to the fore now that markets have become more volatile and the political backdrop less predictable. But that's always the case for gold, and to a certain extent silver, that they are safe havens. And then we have another story kind of along the same lines. From Yahoo, gold gains as global growth concerns dent risk appetite. So a lot of mainstream media seem to have cottoned on to the idea that gold's a good idea this year, and silver as well. We haven't seen the barrage of negative stories. We had that story the other night, or the other day. Well, I reported on the evening, I think it was from Money Market Watch, saying that there was some type of rational exuberance in gold traders, even though the price of gold is only up about 3% since the end of the year, and stocks are up 10-15%. And one other thing I just want to mention is we're going to cover cryptocurrencies tonight. I have no apologies for covering cryptocurrencies. I know some people are gold or silver fundamentalists. Some people are just silver. Some people are just gold. Some people are just gold and silver. And there are some people who are just Bitcoin. They're Bitcoin maximalists. I don't fall in love with any particular asset. I try to analyze and understand that there is value everywhere in the world, whether I see it or not. And that is the important part, I think, of being an analyst, is seeing why do other people find value instead of just dismissing where there is other value. And I use the example of Jackson Pollock paintings a lot. I have no real interest in Jackson Pollock paintings, but I do not deny that there is value, or I try to understand why there is value. And even if I don't see it, I do understand that there is a market for paintings I don't like. Just as there may be markets for digital illusions of wealth and cryptocurrencies. You cannot take the view, I believe, that you determine what's valuable and that the rest of the world has to come around to your view one day. It's a very egotistical, almost narcissistic view that once the world figures out that whatever asset you happen to be in particular in love with figures it out, that the world's all going to be right and you're going to be rich because you happen to have gold, Bitcoin, Litecoin, silver, whatever asset it is that you happen to be. I am not a Bitcoin fundamentalist, a Litecoin fundamentalist, a gold fundamentalist, a silver fundamentalist. There's people who believe in real estate, period. I like to look at all the assets and figure out why they have value, not based on my initial perception or whether they should have value. But I just want to share a comment with you. I got a first time comment. I've never seen this before. It's almost as if I wrote this one. Guy's name is Steven Scherza. Now we have a guy named Silver Stacker for Life, and I would have to say that he somewhat has silver derangement syndrome because he believes that basically only silver has value. And if you try to mention certain issues about silver and just compare them to others, he gets very annoyed. Actually even says, I hate when you think silver, gold is not to buy into it and talk bad about it. And I really don't talk bad about gold or silver. In fact, and Steven makes this point, he's my new buddy, I've never seen his name here before. This channel, through the affiliate links, has sold a tremendous amount of gold and silver. Some people may take that my realistic view on gold and silver is that I'm bashing it. I'm not. I think gold and silver are good. I'm for gold and silver. I'm less for Bitcoin and Litecoin than I am gold and silver. However, that doesn't mean I shouldn't cover cryptocurrencies. I shouldn't really understand what's going on. What a lot of people do with cryptocurrencies is they form an opinion. I'm against cryptocurrencies. And that is all I need to know. And that is all they ever need to know. They don't want to hear anything else. And they know enough just to be against, and they can repeat their talking points. I try not to fall into that with anything that I happen to be analyzing. I'm always willing to look and see, well, why are people giving this particular asset any value? And a lot of people just like to, it's a bubble, it's a bubble. That's another thing that people like to do. And they just like to feel comfortable because then you don't have to think too much. You just, once you assign something, it's either worthless, like the dollar is worthless toilet paper, you're convinced there's going to be a collapse. Bitcoin's a bubble, Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. You can just repeat yourself ad infinitum. You can feel comfortable, but then again, you could be wrong. Anyway, let's take a look at what Steven has to say here, because he says crypto does have value, and he's right. There's, whether you like it or not, or you digital illusion of wealth or Ponzi scheme, whatever you want to say, there is a real world value in cryptocurrencies, some worth more than others. He says Bitcoin is currently valued at $3,400, but actually it's worth right now, it's worth $3,600, $3,700. It may not be backed by what you prefer. He sounds just like me, this guy. But your opinion isn't what assigns the value to it. That's something I say all the time. my opinion is irrelevant on what Picasso paintings are worth, or with Jackson Pollock, Juan Moreau paintings, whatever they are. My opinion is irrelevant. And my opinion on whether Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme or not a Ponzi scheme, is a digital illusion, whatever it is, doesn't matter. He says, you're right about the EMP. Now, a lot of people, and he makes a great point here, but it would be foolhardy to set up your entire future based on a doomsday scenario, which many gold and silver pumpers and adherents actually do. What if the preacher on his soapbox yelling the world is coming to an end was wrong? It's good to be prepared for disaster, but don't bank on it. Have some perspective. Exactly. I'm all for prepping. I'm all for it. If you remember the Smaulgld money matrix, I gave silver very, very high grades. I gave gold relatively high grades for how useful they would be in a EMP or some type of system down scenario. But that doesn't mean, that's my whole dormant money concept, that doesn't mean that you have to ascribe endless value to gold and silver because of that possibility. Now, obviously, if once it does happen, if it does happen, then yes, the value would be higher. But it's like any insurance policy. You have to take into account the relative risk of how likely such an event is to happen, and then you pay the premium for that. And right now, the premium for that is relatively low. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have any in advance. It's always smart to be prepared. Then he says, Smaulgld isn't bashing silver and gold at all. Thank you very much. He's looking at the facts instead of ignoring them like all those pumper channels, which is true. In fact, the ones that came out with gold, back yuan, game changer, all they did was parrot what everyone else was saying. They never bothered to look to see whether there really was any plans for any type of gold back yuan, or whether it made a stitch of sense to even think that there would be such a thing. All they started doing was predicting why gold was set to skyrocket. Same with silver shortage, COMEX default, all the nonsense that they pump. JP Morgan has X amount of silver. No one looks into it. They just repeat it. Then he says, you would know that if you watched a lot more of the channel where he uses facts and statistics, and a lot of charts I use, to back up his views rather than fear-mongering and false hope. Those are the two things they do. They tell you the world's going to end, there's going to be a collapse, it's mathematical certainty, that's the fear-mongering. And then there's the false hope. It's always set to skyrocket, game over, game changer, all that nonsense. Most people on this channel seem to buy gold and silver, but have learned to do so and strive at realistic expectations of the metals. And some of you do indeed buy through the Smaulgld affiliate links. In fact, SD Bullion, I think, is a very good bullion dealer. I think that their news site is ridiculous, but that doesn't stop the fact that a lot of Smaulgld subscribers still shop at SD Bullion because it's a good silver shop and a good gold shop. They have good service, good prices, as do the other affiliates I have, Money Metals Exchange and Golden Eagle Coins. But you don't have to believe these nonsense stories that they publish in order to buy silver. Now he says, how about you pick a point Smaulgld made and refute it specifically with a counterpoint? I think that's asking too much, rather than speaking broadly. Without good reasoning, your opinions hold no water to anyone if they're based solely on an emotion and regurgitating silver pumper fake news. Well, Stephen, thank you very much for that comment, and I invite you to come on this small. I invite anybody. It's not just because I appreciate this comment, but it's just I appreciate that someone actually took the time, because I'm tired of answering some of these comments and spending the time. I don't mind responding to comments, but when I have to respond to a comment where somebody is just so indoctrinated with the silver pumper or the gold pumper, or the whatever pumper it is, it's very hard to talk to someone like that because they don't want to hear anything. They want to tell you how mad they are at you for not thoroughly being a fundamentalist and only believing. It's actually a belief in the metal that they happen to like, or the cryptocurrency that they happen to like. So thank you very much. Stephen, I think you need to buy yourself a mug and send a picture so everyone knows who you are. I really appreciated that comment there. Now, the cryptocurrencies today, start with Bitcoin. This was a big, big day today. And I don't think this is what drove it, but you know, they have this Bitcoin ETF with Van Eck. And Van Eck is a very big ETF promoter or whatever they issue them. They have GDX and DDXJ. They have lots of them. And they've been trying to get, and so have many others, trying to get a Bitcoin ETF through. And they probably have the best shot at it. There's a woman, I don't want to say her name is Hester Prynne, because I think that's the woman in the Scarlet Letter, going back to high school. Her name is Hester, I believe. Anyway, she's one of these SEC commissioners who look at this, and she wrote a dissenting opinion when they denied the Bitcoin ETF. I think it was the Van Eck ETF. She wrote a dissenting opinion explaining why there surely should be a Bitcoin ETF. Now, the other commissioner left at the end of December, the one who voted against it, so she's gone. But then there's this new guy here, Commissioner Jackson. He seems to be on board with a Bitcoin ETF, and I think they may even have the votes to go for it. And apparently there's going to be an interview coming out that's published, but the context of that interview have been leaked, and it sounds like this guy Jackson, along with Hester, I really should know her name. It's not Hester Prynne, but it's something like that, that there will be a Bitcoin ETF. Now, that would be positive news, but that came out a couple of days ago, and that didn't really drive the Bitcoin price very high. And in fact, it really wasn't until 3 o'clock this morning that the Litecoin just took off. Nothing else did. Litecoin just took off, went up about 10-15%. Everything else was flat. And then a couple hours later, Litecoin made another burst. And then the other cryptocurrencies went up. And if you look at what's happened now with the prices, Bitcoin right now is up 8% at 36.13. Ethereum is up 117, up 14%. Litecoin is at 42.25, up 30.5%. That is a massive gain just for one day. And then Bitcoin Cash is at 127, and it's up 12%. So Litecoin is now the fourth most valuable coin behind Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum. Litecoin is now fourth. Now, I don't know what's going on, and it wasn't the Bitcoin ETF news because that was a day and a half ago, and if anything, that would have moved the Bitcoin price, not the Litecoin price. There's this thing with the Lightning Network, and the Lightning Network now has 6,000 nodes. It has hundreds of channels. You can, I think, transmit almost 700 Bitcoins through it, a couple of $1 million worth. The Litecoin Lightning Network is not very big at all. It's got 136, 140 nodes. It's got a couple hundred channels. You could put a few, less than 100 Litecoin through. It's not a big deal. And the reason it's not it doesn't need to be a big deal yet, because Litecoin, the way it's constructed right now, can handle the transactions it has. The whole issue with Bitcoin is there's 10 times the transactions already than Litecoin has, and they need this second layer off-chain system called Lightning to handle it. But Jack Dorsey has been talking up Bitcoin, saying maybe a global currency. He's saying he participated in this Bitcoin lightning torch. They're passing along these small bits of all around the world in a kind of a chain, like the Olympic torch, small Satoshi amounts, and you get it, and then you pass it on, and Jack Dorsey apparently was involved in it. But I don't think that would drive the price of Bitcoin. It's important to note, though, you see all of this work being done in the last year on the Lightning Network, despite the fact that the price fell. That's one of the things that has impressed me with the cryptocurrency space, is that the people that are involved in it stay involved in it, and it doesn't stop them that the price goes down. They continue to work on these projects. We have Johnny Litecoin. Price has gone down 70, 80, 90% of Litecoin. He's still running around, banging on doors, trying to get merchants to accept Bitcoin and Litecoin, and installing ATMs. Again, we mentioned the ATMs. The installation of those is at a pace of 3 or 4 a day. It's doubled in less than a year. There's now over 4,300 across the world. There's over 2,600 in the United States. We saw Coinstar. My point is that, again, when you look at value, value is derived not just from gold and silver. There's people who don't understand that. They just think gold is money, period, and that is the only value in worth. And they draw a pyramid and they show silver's there, and that's the only value in the world. Value is a human construct. If you read Mises, Human Action, there's a whole book on it. It's what people do. It's how people ascribe value. One person cannot describe value to the rest of the world. The fact that people are working on things and you think it's worthless endeavor, they're investing their time, their money, their innovation, their ideas, whatever it is, there's usually value in that. Now, are people who do things to no avail, meaning there's people who endlessly toil, and just because you work hard and you work at something that someone doesn't want, well then just because you worked on it doesn't give it value. I understand that, but a lot of this crypto work that's people are working on and the money they're pouring into it, they do expect, and they have seen in the past 10 years, value derived from that labor and that innovation and that work. And if you don't see that, then you really just think that the only value happens to be in the world comes from gold or silver. And that's not true. Gold and silver are the result less of human endeavor, less of human action, and more of, the craft, the mining is human action, and the forging into jewelry and coins is human action. But for the most part, gold is already made. It's not made by people. Most of the value in the world that we see is done by human creation that gives things value. What else happened with Bitcoin today? It was another story. Again, they had the same leak. This is the guy here, Jackson. Action Jackson says a Bitcoin ETF is coming. Hopefully USC chief. Well, he's the chief now, though. So he says approval is only a matter of time. So I think he replaced that woman who voted against it. She's gone. And she wasn't totally against it. She was just concerned about the custody arrangements, and she was concerned about the surveillance agreements. And since then, I think they've nailed both of those down. NASDAQ provides surveillance agreements to a lot of the OTC Bitcoin exchanges. So I would imagine this thing gets approved, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't think that's what the value today had anything to do with that. But before we get to Litecoin, there was, well, yeah, let's play Moronica. Let's play Moronica. So we're talking about politics, so I guess we should play it. Uh-oh, we got a moron here.
Presenting the distinguished international news commentator and foreign correspondent,
Smaulgld. This has been an extraordinary week in world affairs.
No, I told Hillary Clinton that that's moronic.
All right, there were 3 pieces of news today. We're not going to spend a lot of time on them, but according to Rod Rosenstein, well, he didn't say this, but I think Andy McCabe, who got fired from the FBI for lying, he has a new book out, I believe, and he was saying that Rosenstein, who wrote the memo to Donald Trump recommending that James Comey be fired for the way he conducted the Hillary Clinton investigation, that unless he was fired, that the FBI would never recover from morale. And Comey did a number of things wrong, ranging from not just offering immunity to a lot of the witnesses in the Hillary Clinton email investigation, but the worst thing that he did was to announce everything that she had done wrong, which is strange. You're not supposed to go public with the findings of an investigation. That information is supposed to go to the Attorney General. But not only did he describe everything she did, but then he actually made a recommendation as to whether she should be prosecuted, which again is not the director of the FBI's job. So putting politics aside, Rosenstein, what he wrote in that memo was absolutely correct. And the Inspector General said the same thing, that there were a lot of mistakes made. Forget the bias, just talking about as a practical matter, as being the head of the FBI, those are things that are way outside of protocol. And then, because he had already gone public with a press release in July, when there was new information that was found, he had to go back on TV and mention that the investigation was opened up again, and then a week later says, we didn't find anything. And then he admitted later the reason he came out and said, we're looking into it again, was not because they really were and they were going to spend the week looking at it, because he wanted to close that off as if once she became elected, that there would be no taint he said this, hanging over her presidency. So clearly he was motivated by politics, but not only was he motivated by politics, but in his case, you can see what he actually did breached a lot of protocol. And you can see how Democrats and Republicans were both unhappy with him. So Rod Rosenstein's memo wasn't really out of line to say that. Now, Rod Rosenstein also is a material witness in the case because he signed one of the FISA warrants, and he also wrote this memo. So if Trump is supposedly going to be under investigation for obstructing justice for firing Comey, well, this guy right here, Rod Rosenstein, well, he should be too. But remember, was overseeing the Mueller investigation, which in part is looking into obstruction of justice, which looks like Trump did, if he did, in conjunction with Rosenstein, because he listened to Rosenstein in his memo. Now Rosenstein is saying, I didn't want to write the memo, but Trump told me to. Okay, well, there you go. Now, I'm not saying Rosenstein said this, but McCabe says he said this. But if that's the case, that's when you say, I'm sorry, Donald J., I'm out of here. I'm not going to write a memo if I don't believe that Comey acted incorrectly. No, instead he says, yeah, boss, sure, boss. Okay, I'll go write the memo and come up with all kinds of really good legal reasoning and make a very nice argument why Comey should go. I mean, if I've read the memo, it makes total sense. But now supposedly he's saying he was forced to do it. Now that's moronic because, I mean, this guy's in the middle of it. He signed the FISA warrants. He gave a big speech to Congress about how important it is to make sure everything is correct in the FISA warrant. He wouldn't admit during the congressional hearings with him there that he actually read the FISA warrant, which means he was concerned that how can he, if there's anything that's in there that's not unverified, he was making it sound like he was relying on his subordinates to basically verify this Steele dossier. So he's not going to be, I don't know what's going to happen to him when Barr gets appointed or confirmed next week and probably sworn in next week. The other dumb thing that happened today was Whitaker, and I have no idea why he was there today at Congress, but Whitaker is the acting attorney general who's taken over oversight of the Mueller investigation from Rod Rosenstein. I don't know what Rosenstein is doing now, but he's supposedly going to stay on with Barr for a while. But Whitaker was being grilled all day today in Congress. It was the congressional hearings. And I'm not sure what the purpose of that was because he's leaving next week. They were asking all types of questions about his points of view and why didn't he recuse himself. Well, I don't know what they intend to get out of that because he's gone. Whether he did or isn't going to recuse himself, he hasn't done anything, meaning he hasn't stopped the Mueller investigation. So I'm not sure why they spent a full day grilling the guy, and they were pretty rude to him. And he was just sitting there saying, okay, all right. The Republicans did not generally take, normally in these types of hearings, the Democrat goes and the Republican goes. It looks like the Republicans had like 3 or 4 people question in the beginning, and then they just let the Democrats lay into him for the next 5 or 6 hours. I had it on in the background while I was doing work, but it was mostly Democrats. It was all about, almost all the questioning was about the Mueller probe and his bias and why he didn't recuse himself. And I thought it was moronic because they're wasting bullets on the guy. He's leaving. Now, the other moronic thing, which I'm not going to go through because it's not even at the level where it matters, but apparently, and I saw this, I read some of it, it's pretty ridiculous, it's very moronic, is Alexander Ocasio-Cortez put out this document on, I don't know, this plan for America. We're going to rebuild all the houses in America in 10 years, make them all green fitting. We're going to eliminate fossil fuels. Well, maybe we can't because, quote, there's still going to be cows that are farting. Eliminate air travel. A lot of stuff in there, just pie in the sky. But it was interesting. I think 64 Congress people signed on to this. It's not a bill. It's just some kind of general statement. And I think Liz Warren, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, all running for president, they signed on for this too. Bernie Sanders signed on for it. They all signed on for it. But it's not well thought through. I mean, I don't know how you in 10 years can have wind and solar powering everything. I mean, the amount of, and to knock down and rebuild every house. Oh, and the other thing was that there would be no economic uncertainty, which since the beginning of mankind, That's always been the issue, is that people have a sense of unease, either mentally or physically, and they have to work in order to assuage those issues. They have to toil the fields to make sure they don't starve. There's things you have to do as a person just in order not to have that. Well, she thinks the government can get rid of that, and I understand the concept of a safety net, but what she had in there was provide for economic certainty for everyone, including those not willing to work. Okay, I don't know how long that would last. All right, well, that's Moronica for now. Let's move on to Litecoin and what happened today. It's very, very interesting. I still haven't. I'd like to get some of your thoughts on what happened today, but a 32% move for no particular reason, at least that I can see. And right now it's at 42.25, so it's holding this big, massive gain. I'm not sure what happened, and I noticed this earlier in the day. It had moved up 13 hours ago to 37 for fourth most valuable cryptocurrencies. Now, there was this news a couple of days ago. Charlie's talking about making Litecoin private. They're going to work with an organization, explore Mimblewimble, confidential transactions. Again, I mean, that's something that might happen, is going to happen. They're looking at it. It'll probably happen this year. They'll have to do a soft fork. But I don't see how that's worth 30%, because that's something that's always been bandied about and could happen. What else happened? Yeah, here you go. The Litecoin Foundation put this out, but they put this out on February 7th. So this was, yesterday. I'm not sure this wasn't the hottest news. Now, sometimes a lot of these things are a confluence of news, which, okay. It's not just that, but, there's a lot of other things happening with Litecoin. And then, investing says Litecoin climbs 11%. But then it just took off. Then it went up 30%. Bitcoin also went up, but not as much. Bitcoin went to 3,700, but fell back to 3,610 or something. So it wasn't being driven by the other cryptocurrencies. In fact, it was Litecoin that burst first. Then Litecoin burst second, and it wasn't until much later that that it actually launched the entire crypto rally. And this is Forbes, and they were somewhat saying because of the privacy transactions. This is what happens in markets. People try to ascribe, but they don't come up with when they try to find things. That's what I'm trying to do too. But they said it was because of the privacy coin issues. I don't think that's worth 30% in a couple of hours. And if it was, it would have happened when they first announced it, and it didn't. It happened 12 hours later. Yeah, then it went up to $39. It was up 18%. It just kept going up during the day. And then this company, CCN, they just noted it. It was only up 10% at that point. It was only from 33 to 38. Now, here's something, but again, I don't think this would have driven the price that high. CoinGate, which is a Lithuanian company, and they have merchants in their network, and they enable it to pay with cryptocurrencies. Now, it says we're finally enabling Litecoin Lightning Network payments to all of our 4,500 merchants. Well, right now, no one uses Lightning Network. And if they do, they use it with Bitcoin. Very few people are using Lightning Network. I mean, it's hard to use. It's just getting started. There's only 136 to 138. Maybe there's 140 nodes right now. So this is just fluff. Lightning Network payments are on. Hooray. Who's rushing to go do that? I don't see how this did it. But again, it does highlight that people are working like mad behind the scenes to set up this infrastructure. But this is so far in the future that it wouldn't have an immediate impact on the price. It's a nice development. We do point out developments as they add value to a ecosystem, but this would not drive the price sky high in one day. Yeah, and then at one point during the day, Litecoin was just piling high. I went up to $43. It was full melt up. It was up 31%. As I mentioned, right now it's 42.21 right now. It's not It's held those gains. It didn't spike up and spike and dive. It actually got above. It got to $44 at one point. But yeah, it made two big surges. One at like 3 in the morning Eastern time, and then again at noon. But it had been in between 3 in the morning and noon. It was still on a steady gradual rise, and it popped twice. Again, I don't really know why, but let's see what else we have here. This is a daily hodl, just noting Litecoin surges 28%. Surges past Tether, Bitcoin Cash, and EOS to become the 4th largest. Yeah, so now the other thing is, someone asked me on Twitter, what does it take to move that? Like how much? And I really don't know, but what I do know is that more than, maybe 70% of the market cap of Litecoin was traded today. Now you know that 70% of the coins weren't traded today. So there's a lot of, it's all done on paper, on digital when that happens. And here's another article here, CCN, crypto markets flying. But you can see Litecoin up 30%, Bitcoin up 8%, Ethereum up 12%. What's pushing it? They didn't really have much of a explanation either. If you guys got an explanation, let me know, because I haven't really seen why. I mean, these things aren't uncommon. You see a 7-8% rise, but for Litecoin to pile ahead 32% is a big deal. And there you go. These are the coins, the Litecoin silver coins. You can order through the links below, either on the Smaulgld site or below this BitChute and YouTube. They also come in Bitcoin, a lot of different ones. Those are from Golden Eagle Coin. You buy those, Smaulgld gets a small commission. And if you're not interested in buying silver Litecoin or silver Bitcoin, you can always buy yourself a Smaulgld new gold game changer mug. That is a new mug, limited edition. Will be available for about a month, and then it's gone. And you can write your own words. You can change the font there when you sign up. Again, links below this video, this BitChute, this YouTube, and always on the Smaulgld channel, the Smaulgld Game Changer mug. And there's plenty of Smaulgld mugs you can find. If you're a beer drinker, there's your beer stein. And of course, there's the beer steins together. Some people now have both of those, the beer stein and the frosted mug. The one on the right is a 16-ounce frosted mug. The one on the left is a 22-ounce beer stein. And of course, if you love this show, and many of you do, which I really appreciate, you can become a Smaulgld patron. You can donate one time by PayPal, or you can send items of value, including checks and worthless fiat, or gold and silver, by mail to Smaulgld LLC, P.O. Box 714, Dover, New Hampshire, or you can make an immediate Bitcoin or Litecoin contribution simply by opening up your wallet on your phone, holding it up to those QR codes, and sending Bitcoin or Litecoin. And don't forget, Smaulgld Super Classic and Classic mugs are available directly from Smaulgld headquarters off the website. Click on those mugs, you can see them. Order comes directly to me. Anyone who's ever bought one can attest you will get your mug within 2 or 3 days. I ship them out the next day, priority mail, anywhere in the continental United States. They are I would say they are your entry-level drug to Smaulgld mug stacking. Either your classic or super classic mugs, and then you're hooked for life. And there's no hope for you, because gold money, because mugs are money, period. Now let's see what our Smaulgld game changers are saying then. The mug stackers. All right. Silver Philly is here. Andrew's got his game changer mug. It has arrived. See how quickly that stuff shows up? All right. Joe says, wake me up when silver goes up 30% of the day. It never will. COMEX will slap it down. And I don't mean by naked shorting. They don't allow it to go up 30% in a day. They put all kinds of limits on it. All right. Litecoin still trades. Hooray for Litecoin. Gold back in fashion. That's what they're saying. By the way, if you're interested, as I mentioned, in buying those Litecoin rounds, I'm going to give you the link here. Actually, that won't work, but I'll give you the SD Bullion link. And prove that the Smaulgld game changers, mug stackers, do buy gold and silver. This isn't an anti-gold and silver channel. And that you don't need to write ridiculous stories about game over and game changer in order to be interested in gold or silver. Fiona's asking, what's the deal with palladium? I don't know. I really don't know. Jack AG, I'd rather buy Litecoin because of Charlie owning 0 than the anonymous wallet holder who owns 1 million Bitcoin currently than whoever. Yeah, what Jack is talking about is that Satoshi owns about 10%. No one knows who he is, Nakamoto. 10% of the Bitcoin. And Charlie Lee apparently owns none, but he's still working on it. It's an interesting dynamic. Scott Wardell should have bought at 18, should have bought Bitcoin at 200. Oh, well. All right. Yeah, Jack says, Pablo, Charlie Lee says he's making Bitcoin more fungible and secure and private. Yeah. By the way, Platinum. Platinum was up 1.5% today to 1386. All right. Porcelain is the new rhodium, says Jack. That's right. Johnny Morris here. Johnny Litecoin. Johnny Litecoin just put in, or helped a merchant put in, a Bitcoin Litecoin ATM in his hometown. There's a video on that online on Twitter. Johnny says, great day today. Just bought some bottles of wine and used Litecoin to pay. Check out Bottle Chain Bottle Net. They're located in my area, but also shipped. That's interesting. All right. Sure to check that out. Thanks, Scott. I'm going to pour a glass now, he says. Pablo Pina. In a Smaulgld glass, that would be a true game changer. Yes, I don't think John knows about the Smaulgld glass. He knows about the mugs. A lot of people don't know. We have introduced Smaulgld glass. And glass is also a game changer. Let me get you that. You guys got to see the Smaulgld glass. I'm just going to leave you the link because it is a game changer. Whoops. Just screwed something up here. Can't have that. Now they're saving it. I can't have it saved incorrectly. The Smaulgld game changers. There it is. Smaulgld mug. Boom. Boom. Smaulgld glass. Let me get you a picture of the Smaulgld glass. It's hard to get the link. I got it. I'll let you guys check it out on your own. This gets you into the Smaulgld story. You can check everything else out. All right. City Guyable. SD Bullion won't even package large order correctly. You think a 10K order would get some padding. Wow. I would never order. For two reasons. I don't have 10K to order. But I would never, ever, ever send $10,000 to any of these dealers. Not because I don't like them, I don't trust them, but if they go bankrupt, they got your 10 grand and you may not get it back. Always break your orders down. Don't even, I mean, I don't say that so that people buy small orders from Smaulgld, because I think I get $15, $20 per order, which is nice. It's good to get that, and people do it. But never do that just to, you know, to send commissions. But $10,000 order, that's, I wouldn't order that much at once. All right. Andrew. LTC is shortable. You pump it and short squeeze. They are forced to buy. Prices start running. Not just a bull flag, so it went type thing. Yeah, but it's still rare that you see a 30%, especially as you say, this is a bear market. For that kind of thing to happen, and for bull market, and KZ Gixer 1000 says anonymity is coming to Litecoin. Okay, but I'm not sure that was worth 30% today. Let's see what else. Yeah, Andrew says the more important point, in my opinion, does it stay there? Yes, that's true. Now, I do remember in 2017, this wasn't uncommon. During the late summer, fall, that's when Bitcoin and Litecoin just didn't stop going up. And they would do this every day. I don't know if that's going to happen now. And as Jack says, usually if they rip that hard, it will come down. No? My guess would be yes. But if, and I don't know, there's something behind this that we're not aware of. Like there's some leak of inside information. Maybe there's a Litecoin ETF. I have no idea. Any type of speculation that's a, quote, game changer. Like a real game changer. Not some BS one that Litecoin is somehow chosen in some way or form. Maybe backed is going to use. Who knows? Then it could just continue to go higher. If that's why it rose today on some insider information. If it just rose just because today was an anomaly, well, then it'll normally just fall right back down. Andrew's right. I thought about Litecoin today, even though I gave up chasing rainbows decades ago, never chased bulls. Well, one day isn't a bull. I mean, it's been depressed. It's not like if you were to buy Litecoin today, not that it couldn't go to zero, but it's not like you're buying it at some type of peak hysteria. It just went up once in a day, 30%. Yeah. All right. Fiona Williams, spot on about value. Good example. Diamonds perceive them as incredibly valuable, even though they're not scarce at all. Yeah, value is all. You remember, value is a collective. Like when people try to say there's a law, there's some kind of rule that gold is money, period. There's not. If people don't value gold as a monetary asset, then it isn't. It's not like, well, I sell gold or I sell silver and it has to be, and it says so here and there's a law here. There is no law. The markets create laws. Now you could say that with the markets, they manipulate markets. Okay, but that actually is the market then. And if you know a market's manipulated, that really drives me nuts. A lot of gold and silver people, they know gold and silver are manipulated, so they claim. And they're convinced of it. And they're convinced of it in the best way, I mean, or the worst way. Yet they still buy it expecting it to go higher because it's like, well, at some point unsustainable. They give you that stuff. It's almost like they know a car is coming 90 miles an hour and it's not going to swerve. And they stand in the middle of the road to prove to you that, see, I told you that car wouldn't swerve, and you just get run over. And they point it out all the time. Look, when it hits this price, they'll smack it down. And yet you keep buying it. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Johnny Moore. I always try and buy something with Litecoin and Bitcoin makes a big spike. Well, that's smart. Like if you, I haven't done this, but if you just go out and you take your spending money, little bits, not big amounts, and you load your wallet where you can, your walk around money instead of cash, and then you spend it on a spike. You're getting stuff on sale. Goes like a day like today, goes up 30%. Johnny got his wine 30% off, or maybe more because he probably bought it even lower. That's good. And it's not savings, and it's not store value. See, I don't believe in that store value stuff. I think that it's the best. I think the value in cryptocurrencies is not store value. It's that you can spend them right here, right now, and that they move. Just like cash is not a store of value. That doesn't mean it's not valuable, though. Send it to me right now. I'll find use for it. That makes it valuable. So people don't understand it is that if something is a store of value, you probably don't want to spend it. You want to save it. Well, that makes it not money. If it's not a medium of exchange, no one accepts it, then it's something else. It's a store of value. It's pretty. It's valuable. It's useful. You want to keep it. You want to look at it. You want to hold it. Store of value. Something doesn't have to be money to be valuable. A Picasso painting is not money, but it's valuable. Your car is valuable. Doesn't have to be money. This gold is money, period. Silver is money, period. As if somehow that makes it more valuable. It really doesn't. There's a small premium on a monetary component. In fact, silver and gold are bad money because you can't transact with them. It's very clunky. They used to be the best form of money. There was nothing better in 1840 than having a few silver and gold coins. You can go anywhere and buy anything anywhere. Today, you can't do that. Today, the better currencies are digital, by far. It's much easier to walk around with a credit card or a phone, go on your computer and order something from Amazon, have it shipped to you across the country. That's far better. That doesn't mean that the dollars that are backing that digital currency are better than gold and silver, but they're easily a better form of currency, better form of medium exchange. There's no two ways about it. And people who like gold and silver, I'm talking down gold and silver. No, it's a fact. Gold and silver are not good medium exchange. They used to be. They have been easily surpassed as medium exchange. Just like a horse is no longer the best medium exchange. I'm not talking down horses. I like Mr. Ed. But I'm not going to get on a horse and go to Boston or go to Washington, D.C. on a horse. I don't understand that. All right. What else do we got? Till Bitcoin Miser says can stay above the 10-week moving average, be careful. Yeah, there's a guy named Jack Hart. I don't know what his name is. But apparently he's a Bitcoin guy. He is a chartist. A lot of these guys are. And they claim that all this is just chart driven. And they look at moving averages. I've never figured out that stuff because I do know, even though you can pretty much track these things, a day like today, you can't chart. You have to throw your chart out the window after that happens. You could be tracking Litecoin all the time and your wedges and your arrows and your 30-day moving averages and your Fibonacci numbers, whatever the hell you do. If something goes up 31% in a day, that doesn't fit into your chart. All right, let's see. All right, what else do we got? Rod Rosenrat ought to have been named something less phallic, maybe. Yeah, okay. Let's see what else we got. Michael Goyer is here. All right. Michael's from Canada. Traders leave coins on exchanges, so why place them on the blockchain? That's a good point. If everyone knew who the creator of Bitcoin was, it would be everywhere, said Jack. Yeah. I don't really care. I mean, who's the first person to use gold or silver in a transaction? I don't think it matters. A lot of people, they get very, I don't trust anything or I don't know who created it. Why? I don't know who created the wheel. I mean, I don't know why that matters. Can't trust that wheel. If it works, it works. Doesn't matter who created it. Now, doesn't make the radio sound any better because I know Marconi invented it. Or the radio sound better because I know Edison had a hand in it. I don't know if that matters. Scott Wardell. That is Lewis theory, the last bid to pump on the stock exchange. Do they have fractional on some exchange infiltrator type? Seth says, what a day for Litecoin. Yes. Michael says another 500%. We're back in the game. Lol. Exactly. Joel, would you please speculate either during the show or an upcoming show as to what would happen if the dollar is the last currency standing and gets adopted by the entire world? Well, I'll do that right now. It kind of already is the world's reserve currency. Reserve means that central banks hold it. But it's not just central banks that hold it. If you go to Argentina, Iran, Venezuela, they'll take your dollars in a heartbeat. So globally, dollars are accepted. Now, let's say the euro collapses, which it might. The yuan collapses, which it might. The ruble collapses, which it might. And the dollar's still around. Well, all that means is the chipping away of the dollar's hegemony over the last 20 years just means the dollar regains its hegemony or hegemony. Hegemonic. All right. What every man should have, I would call cryptos a credit system, not a money system. You don't need money to trade. I don't know about that. What credit is there in cryptocurrencies? There is no credit. Now, you know that the Federal Reserve note is a credit-based currency. But you know how you get around that? You get the Kennedy half dollars and the small silver dollars and quarters, dimes, and nickels. Remember, dollar bills are created by the Federal Reserve, whereas the American coins are issued by the Treasury, and they are not debt-based. And they got copper and nickel in them. Money, period. All right, what else do we got? Pablo, do you think Whitaker made a logical point to tell Chairman his 5 minutes up, or was he just stressed up from the grilling? Well, it wasn't a logical point. It was intended to be a little sassy. He felt he was being harassed. I saw it, and he just said, "You're 5 minutes up." Now that's out of line for him to tell the chairman of the commission of the committee that his time is up. But also, they were out of line the way they were questioning him. I mean, they would ask him questions. Isn't it a fact that there's nothing in the Constitution that says that a president can't be indicted? And they know the answer to that question. And what's the point of asking him those kind of questions? I don't even know what the point of him even going there was. He's leaving. You're beating up on somebody who's leaving, who's not going to be in charge of the Mueller investigation. He's not going to be the one to receive the report. He has no authority. Once Barr comes in, Barr will take over that. And they should have asked Barr all these questions during his confirmation. They did ask some of them. I don't know what the point of bringing him in was. All right. And I think that's it. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. And again, tomorrow night, join me for Saturday Night Silver with Smaulgld. Have a good evening, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow. Good night. Bingo star. Stop stream.